Our design thinkers, my name is Matthew Sear, and today we are going to be creating our own dynamic keyboard inside of Figma where we can punch in keys and then those letters or numbers will go directly into our input field. So if that interests you, then sit back, relax, and let's jump into the video. Here we are inside of Figma. We're going to be building out our own little input field, just like this one. We'll be able to select it. We will be able to punch in our keys and write in our text and clear it. But what I will do is create a smaller version, because this will take quite some time because we're going to have to make all the keys. But let's run over what this is made of so that we can put it together. Overall, we're going to open up our local collection of variables, and inside here we can simply write out a list of all of the keys we need. We'll need to make one for every single key we are going to be putting together. So let's jump into the demo. I put a couple of key little pieces together and we can start here creating our mini collection. I'll create a collection. I'm gonna call this my keys. I will add a string, so create a variable, add a string. I'm going to call this one A. I'm going to create another one. This one will be B. And this one will be C. And this one will be D. We'll also add in our actual text. So we're going to go A, B, C, and D. Now we have those. We are going to now let's create some numbers as well. We're still going to use a string variable though. I'm going to call this one 1, 2, 3, and this one will be 4. So I got A, B, C, and D, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to create now a space. So this will be my space key. I'm going to do a string and call this one space. And I'll add a space in there. I will create another, and this will be my clear, which I'll just remove everything from that. And this one will be a keystroke. And our keystroke will also be empty. All right. We're going to create one more collection. This will be my input. And this is where we can actually put like all of the different inputs that we have inside this collection. We're going to create one input field. We are going to call this one input. And I just put a space in there for the time being. We can leave it empty. We are going to also create a boolean. This boolean will make sure that we know if it's selected. So that's my one input. If selected, there we go. We're done. And back in our keys, we have our letters, we have our space, we have our clear, and the keystroke. The keystroke is going to hold the actual letter that we push, and our input will come by, look for that, and then grab that letter and chuck it into the input if it is selected. So let's create some of our assets. All we'll need is a frame to put everything in. So obviously just draw a frame. We'll also need a key. So this one is very simple. All it is just a frame, basically with a letter in it, any letter with some styling, that's all it is. And when it comes to our input field, exactly the same, just another frame with some text, with some styling, no letters are inside my text field, and that's it. So if you can put together your own key, just one key and one input field. Now we want to have two states for our input field. We want to make sure we have a default state and our selected focused state. Once we have those together, all we need is to start creating our key. So I'm going to right click. I am going to make sure I turn that into a component. I'm going to select my letter, and now I can actually assign a variable to it over here. I can go to just any key, it doesn't really matter. I'll select A for this one. And now I can select the frame, and I can go over and go to prototype, and I can go to interactions and add an interaction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add while pressing. So while I'm pressing this key, I am going to set a variable. I'm going to set my actual keystroke, and I'm going to set my keystroke to this letter, which is the A. And that's done. And what I'm going to do is let's say I will go to this frame here. I'm just going to chuck in this text here. Just write hi. I can copy my letter, just chuck this in here. And I can click on this little text here, and I can assign it that keystroke variable. At the moment, we all know that it is nothing, so if I was to just preview what goes on, when I press A, it will add an A. As I keep pressing A, nothing's happening, it's just staying as an A. And that's good. That's exactly what we want. Now, we need to set up our input. Let's just make sure we turn them both into components. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of those and combine them together. This means that they're now like a singular input component. This one will be my focus. And this will just be my default, and these are my states. I'm also going to create one more, and this will be my update. Actually, I'll call this I'll call it update. So what I'm basically going to be doing here is that when my field is selected, I'm going to be having it tick between the two, updating as it goes. And that is good. I'm going to drag out my input. I'm going to stick it into my frame. We can just shrink it, fit it in nicely. And let's create this interaction. I'm going to go to prototype, and I am going to drag click. When I click on my input, I will have it Just going to have it animate in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click both of these. And when I click on these, I will also have it animate back. And what I will do is also click down here to my other one. And this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to set up an after a delay. And I will make sure that delay only goes for 1 millisecond. Then I'll have it go 1 millisecond. Actually, we'll make it instant. There we go. And now I've done that, I can drag this one back up here and it will be the same. After a delay, 1, 1. We'll make it instant. And what these are doing is they're ping-ponging back and forth between one another. And that means that basically we can pick one, and the one that we pick will have a update in it. The point of doing it this way is that we could do a simple one-to-one where this will simply put text in there. But if we wanted to have multiple actual input fields, we will need to make sure that they can reference different fields. To reference a different field, we need to have our little block put up a little package, which would be the letter A when we press it. And then whichever selected field is selected, they can pick that up and chuck it into the input. That's pretty much how it works. So let's have a quick test and make sure our clicking works. There we go. Beautiful. So now we can select our input. We can also click on our key, but it's only just an A and it's just an input, and this is not actually doing anything. So what I will do is set up my update by clicking on here, and I'm going to pick this one. So on its return back to this one from the update, I will also basically check for a condition. I will say if there is a if keystroke is not empty, empty would be, for example, clear, then I want to set my input, and I want to set my input to the keystroke. So what I'm doing is grabbing that little keystroke variable and setting it here. Well, let's give that one a shot. Oh, sorry. Also, need to, last of all, we need to make sure that we actually select our text. And we select our text, you can go over here and assign our input. There we go. Yep. And as you can see, it's got the little A in it, but it's not adding it. So that's another thing. So what we can do is we can set that part up next. So let's click our delay here. We're grabbing it. We're getting the input, and we're adding the key. So what we're going to make sure we add in just before our key is we're going to go input plus the keystroke, and that will add that one in. And then we will go to set and we will get the keystroke, and we're going to set it to, we'll drag that up, set keystroke to clear. There we go. I'm going to press play, and there we go. Now I am pressing and adding in my letters, which is fantastic. And I don't have this selected, and I cannot add my inputs, but I will add it in afterwards. As we noticed, though, I'll show you again, when I press my A, it had an A in the keystroke. So what I'm going to do is make sure that stroke does not do the A unless I have this field selected. So let's set that one up. Instead of me just having this set variable, I'm going to go click here. I'm going to say condition, and my condition will make sure that I have a selected input. Basically, selected input equals true. So if it equals true, then I want to do this. So I'll click and drag this in here. Now that's set up. And I also need to make sure that I switch this on. So when I will move to here, I need to make sure that I also turn on that input. So I'm going to go into the click. So as I click in, I will set the variable, and I am going to set my switch, and I'm going to set it to true, and that is it. I'll also make sure that when I click off of it, that I also set my switch. There we go, select, let's make sure that one is set to false. And I will also make sure here as well. So also create set variable, and just with the select, and we'll make sure that is false. So I'm gonna press play. I'll press it and nothing gets put into it because it was blocked. Now that it's not, I can press A and I'll add it in. I can deselect it and I can't press anything. Oh. And we do have an error there. We'll just drag this set variable above, and that's false as well. Not sure, sometimes this bugs out. Alright, there we go. Now it works. Alright, there we go. We have that part set up. We have our single key. We have our single input. This is just a single key and single input though. So let's create the rest of our keys, and I'll show you how to do that. So remember how we had this little statement inside of our key, which we set up over here? The handy piece is, now that we actually have it, we have it here as well. And that is the advantage of doing it this way, where we have that set up in the prototype in the parent. We can now drag these out, select them, space in between one another. And we'll drag it down at the next set. Like, and I'm going to drag this one down. We'll notch that one like that. Notch this one like this. And I'm just going to chuck in an X on that one. And I'm just going to call this one space. And what I can do is now I can select my input. I can go to my prototype and I can go to that condition, and instead of this A here, I can actually just click on it. And now I can replace it with the space. And I can go to this, and this will be my clear. So I'm going to add a different type of condition to this one. So when I press, as long as I obviously selected, I'm going to actually get rid of that, and I'm going to set, and I'm going to set my input, and I'm going to set that input to clear. So that will clear my field. And now let's set up our letters. We can, obviously the A here is set up for us, so we'll select the other letters. So I'm going to go to my A, and instead of this A, I'm going to go B. And instead of that one, I will do C, and so on. There we go. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, and I just need to make sure that I go up to my prototype mode, and I will simply open this up and switch this around. And I'll basically do this for every single one of my keys. So go to C, set that one up, go here, and we go to 1, oh, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So we now have all of our keys. I can click on my input field, I can type this in, add a space, add some numbers, add more space. There we go. And now we can clear it. And I can unclick and can't clear, can't space. I can select it again and get back to adding in my number. So that is our mini input field for us to get here. That's just the same process, but instead you're going to have to do it with every single key. So I hope this has helped you with creating your own dynamic input field. And for more tutorials or more understandings of how to also use a multi-input field or having multiple in a single screen, leave a comment in the description box below letting me know that is something you're interested in. And until next time, design thinkers, keep thinking, keep building, and keep creating amazing things. I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.